Hey, hello, my friend.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Look at you all fancy with two screens.
The learning does not stop, I tell you, Jen. Well, you remember the days when I didn't even have a computer, so
I was
like,
just telling Scott about that. I'm like, I don't remember how, like, I'm thinking like 18 years maybe now. Maybe not, maybe.
how long we've known each other? I know. So I've been here at this apartment for 17 and a half years. And it
Okay.
was when I was living at the last place that well, I think I had moved in that time. So yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been, yeah, probably like
Yeah.
18, maybe even longer.
So I was saying, like, you went from like the girl who went down to the library and like knew how to get on your blog and how to update it, but then like you didn't even want to know more, like
Yeah.
that was enough, to like owning like multiple internet businesses and revenue streams with like multiple laptops and fancy equipment, and I'm like, that's awesome.
Thank you. I know. I'm so proud of myself. Well, I was telling Lucille the other night your adventure about cracking open your laptop to put more RAM in. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe she did that. She freaked out too. I'm just going to get started here because I know, especially for Jen, you're like an hour ahead of us.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's get started here. So first of all, I want to say thank you, everybody, for being willing to volunteer. Some of you have known me for a really, really long time. Jen and I were joking before the rest of you joined. Some of you remember the days when I refused to get a computer. We're going back a while ago. And now almost all of my work is on the internet or computer. But the learning never stops. So yes, I have a new camera set up. And in fact, I think Laura, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I know this was a really long time ago, but you used to help me with some of the things I was trying to practice with. And I think at one point, wasn't it you that said, you should check out the people on YouTube and see what they're doing and get some ideas. And that, I don't know how many years ago that was, Laura, that you're nodding. Yes, that was you. That's a really long time ago, and this is the snail's pace that is Heather Home. I do have a YouTube channel now. I've thrown some stuff up there over the past, I think it's like 4 years, but it's just like to try to learn. This is how slow I am. And in our tarot class, a gentleman by the name of Rory, he has one of these setups. And I think, how long ago was it, Jen, that he shared this? Like, we're going back a year probably easily, right? That he's had his overhead
Minimum.
camera. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Rory's one of the lucky people who has young people living in his house and they can just do the techie stuff for him. So I'm on my own, little old gray-haired lady now. I'm still pushing ahead, trying to learn technology. So I thank you so much, all of you, for being willing to give this a try. Excellent. Okay. So let's move on now to the preamble. Excuse me. So I always like to start with setting up good vibes. I've already actually done this before signing on tonight, so I'll just explain. I do like some prayer work, some energy work. I set up good energies. I ask for what I call the nice kids on the playground up there to come in and help us out. So I've already done that. What I do ask of you tonight is just let go of your expectations about what might happen. Every reader is different. Every reading is different. They're all different types. It's a-okay to just kind of be open. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, or if it doesn't sound right to you, that's okay, speak up. But a lot of it may come later on. So if, for example, you know, I'm saying something and it sounds like it has not happened to you yet, sometimes an hour later, you might go, oh, all of a sudden, yes, now I know what she was talking about. It may come to you later. A lot of us call that psychic amnesia. For whatever reason, it comes to us a little later. Or it may just not have happened yet. So you can watch for it down the road, but just be open. When we get started, I like for two kinds of information to come through, usually a little bit of what you already know and some of what you don't yet know. What you don't yet know, that's the whole point of doing these readings. But we also want something that you're familiar with. I'm not sure how this will work because the messages are going to be fairly short per person. But generally, I like something that you are already aware of, and that's intended as validation for you. You already know this. This helps you to understand that this process is real. And then likewise, if you're already aware or already doing whatever is coming up in the session, that's your team up there, to the best of my understanding, letting you know that they see and that you're on the right track. Keep up the good work. The example that I use is a young gentleman I had once. I was getting diet for him and it didn't make sense for me because he looked young and fit. But it's my job to be like a radio, so to speak. I just give what I receive. And he said, oh, good, I just switched to veganism. So that's his confirmation. His team up there see, they're letting him know he's on the right track. Keep up the good work. So hopefully some of that will be taking place for some of you tonight. I don't do fortune telling. I'm going to be talking about opportunities. For me, every decision that we make changes the potential future. We have free will. So I talk about opportunities rather than doing fortune telling. I do work in the positive as best as I can. If there are challenges that come up, then usually our teams go, that's a-okay, here's some information. I want to help you feel empowered to move forward and make your own best choices. A lot of this I think I can skip over. If anything comes through as advice, it's not really intended as advice. To the best of my understanding, our teams take this as their opportunity to get a message to you. So usually they start off with something that they feel will help get you further, faster, and in the healthiest way. If you are not understanding that or you'd like to make a different choice, that's a-okay. Please speak up, and then that helps me redirect in a different direction. And then lastly, Spirit does not always give us what we want to hear, but it does always give us what we need to hear. So thanks again for being here with me. Now, let me see. I am going to go in order of the squares that I see here. So I'm going to start with Jenn. And then I will wait before I say any more because sometimes the Hollywood squares switch around and I never know why. So we're going to start with Jenn. And I'm just deciding, Jenn, should I use your deck for you? Oh, has anybody else read for you with your deck?
No.
Can I do a little bit of boasting about my friend? Look,
yes,
ladies,
you can.
My friend, Jenn Lummiss, who is a very gifted, not only photographer, but graphic designer, she created this deck and it's so beautiful. Can you see that? There we go. So I'll be laying just a few cards out. I know this is the whole deck, so you can't really see them here, but they are gorgeous, gorgeous cards.
Thank you.
Jenn, if you have that link, you should put it in the chat. Just in case anybody wants it.
I'm sure I can find it.
You'd have to find it. So I'm just going to shuffle for a moment and tune into you. You go ahead and do you. So these are New Year's messages for Jenn. So we have the 5 of Pentacles.
Ooh.
And being influenced by the Queen of Swords. Didn't you say that was one of your favorite cards in this deck?
It really is.
I think you said that when you were over here for a photo shoot. Okay.
It's beautiful.
Let's see.
Look at it. I made that. Of course I love it.
They're gorgeous. Let's get them nice and close so everybody can see. Look how gorgeous these are. Oh my gosh. Just an amazing job there. Okay, so I'm just going to beg for your patience. When you see me go quiet, that's me trying to tune in, and I'm just trying to figure out what it is that they want me to say. And I'm probably going to lay some more cards down on this because, as you know, anybody who does tarot, the court cards, oh my gosh, there can be so many things that come in with that. And I am going to lay some more cards down. So first of all, they're talking about whittling best, whittling best. So this is a term that I've started using for myself recently, whittling best, which means, remember when I was saying before everybody else joined the Scrooge McDuck in the Aladdin's cave?
Yeah.
Surrounded by lots of opportunity, but I'm just one duck. So it's kind of similar to that. So just taking a look here. So we also have 9 of Swords, 6 of Pentacles, and Page of Wands. So first of all, before we go any further, the feeling for me is this whittling best, which they're talking about, you know, there's always so much to do in life. There's always a lot of opportunity, and a lot of it is just kind of noise in life. It isn't really necessary. We might feel like we should, like that's where a lot of those shoulds kind of come in, because we place expectations on ourselves or other people place expectations on us. And in reality, a lot of it is just kind of noise. Like we can let other people take care of them. Or sometimes we might feel like we're taking on a lot of stuff in the course of a day. Some of it's just kind of busy work. And there's nothing wrong with doing some of that. I like days where I'm just puttering and I've got a long list of stuff to get it done around the house. Whether I get it all done or not is fine. But a lot of it's kind of like busy work. I don't really need to clear out that one particular closet. It can be done later. So they're talking about this whittling best, but not just with the work. Like you can do that in terms of what you're filling your days with, but they're also talking about like with relationships, situations. You can apply this any way you want. So they're talking about now is a really kind of good time to be doing inventory and just deciding like what is actually important to you. And if it's not really important, they do the Marie Kondo thing. I always love when they bring in the smiles and the good energy. So they bring in Marie Kondo. For any of you who don't know who Marie Kondo is, she's a lovely woman who helps people get organized. And she talks about sparking joy. When you go through your home and decluttering, you pick up this thing out of the closet or out of the drawer and you hold it to you and think, does this spark joy? And if it does not spark joy, it's a-okay to get rid of it, donate it, whatever you're going to do, and just create a home that makes you happy to be in. So this is what they're talking about, Jenn, is some Marie Kondoing any area of your life. Does it spark joy? And that's probably going to be one of the easiest things to help you kind of figure out, do I want this? Do I not want this? And sometimes it can be hard to let go of stuff that you don't want just simply because of those shoulds. Like I've been doing it forever, so I should keep going like this. Or this is my role, or this is my job, or I'm just used to having it around. We can fill ourselves with all kinds of things that are like the, you know, these shoulds. But there is value in kind of sloughing off what is no longer needed. Slough off that dead skin, give yourself a little a little life facial, if you will, and let yourself just say that's a-okay. Like these things can be loved by others. This relationship I don't really need anymore. Other people will love this person. Or this situation, somebody else will find this situation. It will land in the lap of whoever needs it. If it's stuff, you can do that too. Somebody else will enjoy this. I can donate it. Jobs around the house, can I delegate them? Can I hire somebody? Is it really necessary? All of these things. And if they do bring joy, or you really do feel like, hey, I think I would feel accomplished if I get this done, that's a-okay too. But they're saying big opportunities right now for just like whittling best is what I call it. And then they pull me back here to these other cards. Sorry, and I think we're going a little long. They're just mentioning keep this short. And then it's just finding balance. So when you do get some stuff done, maybe have in your schedule in the day, like say if it's a house day and winter is coming. So I know out there, it's even worse here with the snow, like you can just be like in and that's it. So if that happens and you're like, okay, it's like pajama day or tracksuit day today, and I'm like, I've got this page this long of stuff that I want to get done around the house, maybe like every third one, stick in like nap, or third one down, read a book, or whatever you need to like make sure that balance is there and just really enjoy. And then what you are doing, see if you can find that, like spark some joy into it. If you don't yet have some joy, then see if you can make it fun, because this is all about finding the balance and enjoying life as best as you can. With a lot of these things, they're not necessary. You don't need them. Send them off and just enjoy what you can enjoy. Find that juiciness. I like that.
I like it too.
Yeah. Okay. And does that make sense for you, Jenn?
Yes.
Perfect.
If things would stop breaking.
Oh.
Then we can go to joy. But
are things breaking? Oh no, that might be that planetary thing that I was telling you about.
Yeah, the brakes went on the super sweet Versa. So
oh no, oh dear, I'm sorry.
New adventure.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry to hear that. Dorothy, you get 2 this week. You got a message at the center on Sunday. And you get another one tonight. New Year's messages for Dorothy. Okay, so I'm going to shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. See, this is why I need to practice. I forgot to pin. I'm so sorry, Jenn. You probably couldn't see the cards. Pin for everybody. There we go. Okay. So before I go any further, can we see this better? This is better. So this is what I had for you, Jenn, before we go any further. So we had 5 of Pentacles, Queen of Swords, 9 of Swords, 6 of Pentacles, and Page of Wands. That's a little better. So now that I know that, I need something to remind me at the beginning of sessions. Switch it. Oh, and something else is happening here. Turn that off. Okay. Okay. So we're shuffling for Dorothy for New Year's messages. And everybody can see that nice and big now? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So we have Knight of Pentacles. So we may be laying down more cards. Let's see. Influenced by the Chariot. So I think this ties a little bit into what was happening on Sunday night. You received the message about, now I think it was worded as an authority figure that you could lean on, but I am seeing this as other people in your life that you can lean on. So Dorothy, I'm actually being pulled to Rachella. So even though a lot of people would consider the Knight to be masculine, I see it as, I read it as an energy. So I'm feeling very much like this may be Rachella or other people similar to Rachella who can get the job done for you, who is not just fast-paced. Now I'm going to try to skip over some of the more personal things, but I think if I refer to some of the family members who are just kind of really fast-paced and always on to something new and a little chaotic, it's okay to love them and wish them well, but that's not the energy that we're seeing right here. They're talking about good things, moving towards good things with good helpers who can move slowly at a pace that makes sense for you, that can be helpful. And then also they're talking about a ride. So you and I have this chat on the phone the other night about the community care rides and how it can be very difficult to get somebody to help you. I think you said they've assigned somebody to you now. But if at any point you feel like you need to book an appointment in advance, call maybe as soon as that appointment is booked. Or if you need to go get groceries, call like a month in advance, or maybe even see if you can find a different helper who can help you get around. Certainly as somebody who doesn't drive, I understand what that's like. And for you and John, you're in your senior years where you deserve for other people to be taking care of you. So anybody who can be helping you get around, that certainly is a nice opportunity if you can ask them for help. But somebody who's like slower paced, steady energy. I'm just going to lay one more card down. And then a little bit of what I was just talking about with Jenn is coming in with this. We have the 10 of Swords. For those of you who are not familiar with tarot, please don't freak out. I know the card is really scary looking. It's just the artwork done by this one artist. But this is talking about like enough is enough. So particularly when there's a lot of chaos, when there's a lot of challenges, when there's a lot of other people not living up to their end, it's a-okay for you to say enough is enough. I'm going to look to the people who I can rely on and find those people and just leave the others off to the side. And you can love them, you can wish them well, but obviously they've got a lot on their plate, they're doing their thing. It's okay to just leave them off. The main cards are about you deserve steady, comfortable energy for people who can help you out. So it's just finding those people. Even if you have to hire them, that's a-okay. But that's what they're talking about for you for 2024, Dorothy. Does that make sense for you?
It certainly does, Heather.
Okay, perfect. I'm so pleased that it did. And good luck with that. Okay, so moving on here now, moved around. We're now going on to Jane. Jane, what deck am I going to use for you? I am going to use, we didn't do these yet. I'm going to sit these here to remind me at the end. We'll do these Goddess Oracle at the end. Jane, I'm going to use this deck. Actually, this is a combination of two decks. We have the Fairy Tarot and the Good Tarot. These were gifts from Jenn, actually. And they're both the same size. And they work very nicely together. So first card comes up for you, Jane, the Moon. Let's try not to have too much shine on that. There we go. And I'm going to shuffle again. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And it's being influenced by Patience, which is also the Temperance card in other decks. So Jane, for you, we've got Major Arcana here, double Major Arcana. So I'm just going to ask for your patience as I tune in here. Excuse me for a moment. So earlier today, we were talking about, or you were sharing a little bit about this new energy that you've been practicing moving into. And I won't go into too much of it because that's yours, it belongs to you. But they're talking about here, like this is a really good time for you. So even though there might have been challenges, like you had mentioned, maybe setting a timer, but the going with the flow thing that you were talking about earlier, that's actually, this is a really good time. And I know you know yourself well enough to trust that when you are guided to participate in a new energy or participate in a new phase in your life, there is a valid reason for it. So this is really, I think, in part, a validation for you that you're already on the right track. Yes, of course, you are still going to have appointments and things like that where you will need to kind of set your schedule and figure out how you want to do that. But for the most part, this going with the flow feels very good here. But they're taking me further. Now, Jane, are you somebody who remembers your dreams?
A lot of the time, yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to explain. For me, what I call dream time, that is like literally dream time. It also is meditation. It's also intuitive work, psychic work. For me, they all read the same way. I'm being pulled to your dream time, but that doesn't mean it can't apply to these other things. It could very well possibly. And they're talking about finding balance in your dream time as well. So if you have not yet been practicing dream work, that is a potential for you. And then noticing the first thing that they say, taking that you could take notice of if you wanted to, is noticing how you feel when you first wake up. And that will be a good indicator for you if you need to make an adjustment. Maybe you might have some inspirations. And then they pull me back to Sunday night, this spiritualist Sunday service that some of us participated in. And they were talking about that. The guest speaker was talking about the different types of brainwaves that we have. And he was saying beta is when we're in the day-to-day, like our to-do list kind of thing, all day long, we're trying to get things done. Our mind is busy with things. And then it moves into the alpha state when we are like in a meditative state and we can be open to receiving messages. He said, then there's that theta state, which is like this in between sleep and awake, that period when you're first waking up, but you're still kind of dreaming, but you know that it's, your eyes kind of on the alarm clock or whatever, you're starting to remember what you have to do that day, that in between state. See if you can pay attention there. So, because they show me quite often things from my life to act as references, and that's what they're showing me. And Sunday evening, I was talking about that in-between state, how the messages that I received during that time has changed. It used to be that when I was first waking up, or sometimes when I'm going to sleep at night too, which that's kind of a drag because then I have to wake myself back up again to write down messages. But that would be like the time when I would receive messages for myself, as opposed to giving messages when I'm awake and working. So most often in the morning in that in-between state. But as of late, I would say I was saying 3 years, but when I think about it, I think it's being maybe closer to 5 years now. Quite often when I'm receiving messages during that time, it's either for the first client of the day or the most predominant client of the day. And I don't always know who it's for, but I will write it down. I've learned to keep paper and pencil next to the bed, not pen, because quite often the pen will not work when you need it to, and you've got to write it down, especially if it's nighttime and you're trying to fall asleep. So that can be a little bit of a challenge. But anyway, so they're talking about this opportunity for you. And then when you do that, there's the possibility for relief in any energy that kind of gets revved up at a time that's not convenient for you. Because once it's out of you, as we all know, like if we've got things going around in our heads, once we write them down, it's like a release. We can just let it go, and then we can get on to other things. So once it's written down, whether it's for you or for another client, then at least you've got that piece of paper with it already on there, and then you can kind of move on. But they're talking about this balance and the free flow, like you were talking, going with the flow. That's really great. This is a really good opportunity. It's a really good time for you to be practicing that. So does that make sense for you, Jane?
Yes, it does. I do receive a lot of messages first thing in the morning between, I don't know, I can say could be between 3 and 6.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, I'm so glad that's your validation for you then, that you're on the right track there. Okay, so moving on here now, my next Hollywood square is Laura. Laura, for you, I think I'm going to use my Ancestral Path deck. This is a lovely deck that was gifted to me by my mom. Okay, so Laura, I'm going to shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And this is message for 2024 for Laura. And we start with the Sun card. Wow, awesome. It's a great way to start off. And it's being influenced by the Star card. Are you kidding me? Okay, so wow, major arcana for you as well, Laura. So I'm just going to take a moment here to tune into this. But first of all, they are talking about planetary stuff. So I don't know if you're into astrology, but like now a lot of really big things are happening. They're talking about paying attention to the bigger planets. So yes, we do have Mercury retrograde coming up. I mean, that's fine. That affects everybody. But they're talking about the bigger planets. So you're looking at like Jupiter and Saturn mainly. And maybe Neptune and Pluto, but for the most part, they're talking about Jupiter and Saturn and how they are affected with other planets. So that is something that you can look into. I know there's a lot of aspecting this month, and it's going on at least until the end of the year, and then there's more coming next year as well. But this is a really big time for you for major arcana. Now, I'm just going to get silent for a moment. So they bring a little humor in here, and they say the future's so bright you got to wear shades. I know I'm dating myself. Oh gosh, I don't want to date anybody else, but like, I know some of you remember that song. You're old enough to remember that song. Future's so bright you got to wear shades. And so they're talking about the efforts that you've been making up to this point. And I know you're a hard worker, and I know it's been a number of years since you and I have had a chance to catch up. But I think I remember you saying that you had plans. You were hoping to move forward with some things. And I know you're a hard worker. So they're talking about these efforts that you've been making up to this point. And the opportunity is there for 2024 for this future so bright, gotta wear shades kind of thing. So now, because this is all about opportunities, this is not about fortune telling. I'm not telling you that everything is just gonna be shiny, you're not gonna have any problems, everything's just gonna run smoothly. Hopefully that will be true, but this is all about opportunities. So they're talking about what you have not yet done at this point, particularly because they tie me back to those planetary things that were taking place. Watch for the retrogrades. So you're looking for Jupiter retrograde, Saturn retrograde, particularly the bigger planets. And during those time phases, those are really good times to go back and complete what you have not yet completed. And then at any time, particularly for 2024, they're saying moving forward, accepting what's yours, accepting the juiciness of life, having that confidence, feeling good, like moving into that state. And then they also talk about whatever you feel you can achieve. See if you can just imagine in your mind taking that up one notch. You don't necessarily have to achieve that in 2024, but certainly in the year ahead, this is a good time to be imagining what else is there. Because even though you've worked hard and you've got yourself so far to wherever you are, they say that's not the end of life. There's more coming. You've got to get all the way to the end of your days, your time here on Earth. So they're talking about, like, when you think about the time when you reach retirement, what do you want the last number of years of your work to look like? So it's already time now to start thinking that far in advance. What do I want to be looking at when I reach that point? Because I know you're a hard worker and you don't want to have to keep that up until the day you retire. So it's a-okay to like imagine, like, yes, I've got myself this far. Yes, I'm okay to continue that up to, decide how many years you want to continue that. But then at some point, like, are you the supervisor? Have you worked yourself up to a certain level? Do you own your own business? Like, whatever you want it to look like. And in fact, a lot of my clients, they are kind of retired, but they've kind of moved into like a sort of semi-retirement because they don't want to, they're past 65. They don't really want to work full time anymore, but they also don't want to just be home doing nothing all day. And they really worked hard to get where they were. So they might take like a day or two during the week to go in and help others. Whatever is your way, by all means, make it yours. But this is big, big major arcana. We've got 2 in a row. I use the universal card in my deck too, which is like the blank. So for me, there's like 79 cards in this deck, and I've only laid down 2, and both of them are major arcana for you. So they're talking about big energies like moving in there, and look at how beautiful both of these are. Like, this is really a good time to be taking what you've accomplished so far and like really start reaping the benefits from it and move into whatever state makes sense for you that you really like. Now, do you need any more information about that, Lori? Is that making sense for you?
That's making perfect sense. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Perfect. Thank you so much. I love this deck too. It's so beautiful. I love this deck too. It's so beautiful. Okay, and now we're moving on to Debbie. I think for Debbie, what do I feel like using for Debbie? I think I'm going to go back to these cards here, the Fairy and Good Tarot. So we're going to shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And we have the balance card, which, hold on a sec here, is also known as, oh, Temperance. I just said that. So this is another deck with they just changed the name. So it's Temperance, but they're calling it Balance in this life, or in this deck. And we're going to influence that with Prince of Winter, which is the Knight of Swords. So I'm just going to ask for some patience for a moment. Actually, I am going to lay some more cards down on that in a moment. But they start off, first of all, talking about the flow of life. And this is really interesting. So I don't know how well you can see it. So this lion is kind of like a fountain, and instead of water, it's producing wine, which is all about that juiciness of life. So we've touched on that a couple of times this evening, but they're talking about getting the most that you can out of life, finding the juiciness of life. Again, I'm going to lay some more cards down on this. And almost similar to what I had said with Jenn earlier, they're talking about like cutting out whatever is like baloney to you. So whatever is not helpful, whatever is getting in the way, whatever is a distraction, it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy those things. Like distractions they have their purpose, right? Like there are plenty of times I just want to sit and watch a movie. It's fine. But anything that really is not helpful to you, it's a-okay to just kind of let that go and cut it kind of out of the picture. And they do say with some of this, you might need to get a little bit aggressive because, again, it's so easy to get pulled back into the shoulds. Whereas in reality, and for me, this feels very much like the boundaries around you and other people. Sometimes other people just need to hear it. And it helps them to know where your boundaries are, because especially if you're like a nice person, other people, they might infringe, even if they don't mean to infringe. Sometimes they do mean to infringe. And everybody's different, of course. But when you're a nice person, it can be a little bit harder because other people need to see where your boundaries are. And so they're talking about this. You might need to get a little bit aggressive with it at some point, or maybe not aggression is not the right word. You can get aggressive if you want to, but just like clear, definitive. This is where my boundaries are. And I'm going to lay another card down here. We have 10 of, this is called, they're showing it as 10 of fire, but it's 10 of wands and a lot of decks. So I'm just going to ask for your patience for a moment. Yeah, because they're saying like, and this is not a warning or anything that you need to worry about. It's more like I say, an opportunity. So with 10 of wands, quite often we're looking at like the potential for burnout, and we don't want to burn out. You deserve so much better than that. It's much, the opportunity comes in the idea of rechanneling. So I've talked, I can't remember how much I said earlier. I know Jenn and I were kind of joking about it before everybody else joined. I've said of recent, I feel like Scrooge McDuck in the cave, in Aladdin's cave. I'm like up to here with treasures. I'm surrounded by all this opportunity and it's freaking awesome, but I'm only one duck. And so how much can I possibly do with all of this, right? So that's the feeling here. Like if you can try to rechannel all of that energy. So if you got like a lot of work on your plate or a lot of expectations, people are coming at you from every direction, or I'm not sure how this is playing out in your life. I'm sorry. This is the first time that we're meeting and I don't know you. So I'm not sure how this applies to you, but they're just saying like, it's a good time to kind of take an inventory and just see like, you know, where can I find the juiciness and really enjoy? Because we've got this free flowing wine here, water turned to wine, free flowing, finding balance in life, cutting out the baloney that is not necessary. And then also like, instead of burning out, we want to rechannel all of that abundant energy and apply it to what makes sense for us. So they're showing me a couple of examples. One is say like with finances for a lot of people, say, who rent. And I'm not saying that this is the how can I say this? This is not necessarily the message. This is to paint a picture so that you understand what I'm talking about. A lot of people these days have to rent. There's not really much option out there with this, you know, the housing crisis that we're in. But for a lot of people, if you can, the recommendation is buy your home rather than rent as soon as possible, because otherwise you're just you're giving out all that money or energy to somebody else to feed their bank account. If that makes sense for you to do that, that's okay, I rent, I'm staying a renter, I don't want to shovel driveways, that's just my thing. And so that's a-okay, but that's like an example of what they're talking about. Like, if you keep paying into other people's coffers with your energy, then what are you left at the end of the day? The other example that they were showing me is with young people, particularly when they have a lot of pent up energy. It can be other genders as well, but we see this a lot, say, like with masculine energies or people with that yang energy, that, you know, a lot of go energy, a lot of get up and go, a lot of aggression, and to re-channel that energy into something that's helpful. So they might get them into sports, or they might get them working, or something like that, where they're channeling all that energy into something that's actually helpful and going to work for them rather than against them. So that's what we're kind of looking at here. So is that making sense for you, Debbie? She's nodding. We still don't have audio. Okay. I'm so pleased that it's working for you, Debbie. That's great. Okay, so let me just see here. Not only is this the busy time of year, but that's a number of them to do. So give me a week and I will get them out to you. And then did anybody have any questions or feedback for me in terms of the, oh wait, now I can close. Can I stop this? Remove spotlight. Ah, there we go. From Debbie, thank you so much. I love this so much. Thank you. You're very welcome, Debbie. Thank you so much for joining us. Did anybody have any questions or feedback for me? I know I need something at the beginning to remind me to actually spotlight that one square. So if anybody has any suggestions, Dorothy, go ahead.
It was a really wonderful evening, Heather. I enjoyed every minute of it. And I'd like to get the cards with the collages on them. That really got me excited.
I will remember. I'm going to put that over there too. So actually, let me put sticky notes because I will forget if I don't. Okay.
Great job, Heather.
Oh, thank you so much, Jane. I appreciate it.
Yes, you taught me new today, and I appreciate it. And I'm going to talk to you privately. Thank you.
Okay, yes. And I know you've been waiting to hear about opportunities to learn more techie stuff in this work. I promise you I'm keeping it in mind. I'm trying to look forward to 2024 myself. So hopefully I'll have some ideas moving forward that can help even more people. So I have you in mind, I promise.
Thank you, because one of my cards that I've chose recently is about new opportunities. So I appreciate it.
Yay! Okay, you're very welcome. Anything else, ladies, before we finish up for the night? Jen, go ahead.
So the arm that you have your camera on, do you find it moves at all, or does it stay pretty